There's no better feeling than caring for the veterans. Working at the VA has been one of the best decisions I have ever made.
We really take the time to sit back and listen to their stories. It makes us much better at caring for their needs.
Our health insurance is amazing. You also get the wonderful feeling of helping our nation's heroes. You can't get that anywhere else.
For more information, visit www.vacareers.va.gov.
Well, happy Tuesday and welcome to VA Careers Live. My name is Mike Owens and I'm a national recruiter with the Veterans Health Administration, as well as your host for our weekly segment, Talk About It Tuesday. If you're joining us for the first time, I just want to let you know that we are here every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. So feel free to grab a snack, grab something to drink, and join us as we talk about careers here at VA. Now, whether you're tuning in for the first time or you've been with us for the last 2 years that we've been doing this broadcast, remember, we want you to be part of the broadcast. So leave any questions and comments in the comment section below. My team and I will share those comments, and we'll actually answer those questions and comments throughout the day and throughout the week to make sure that all comments are addressed and all questions are answered. Also, as you've been noticing, that we have a special Q&A session towards the end of each broadcast. So your question may be answered or your comment may be addressed on the live Talk About It Tuesday broadcast. So again, whether your questions are answered live or whether they're answered in a follow-up answer in the comment section, again, just feel free to leave any questions and comments below, and we'll make sure that we can address those as soon as we can. Also, we all know someone who wants to work at the VA. So again, to help out those people and make sure they get all the information that they need, we ask that you share our broadcast. Hit the share button. We have a special hashtag that's attached to this program. That's #WorkAtVA. Again, #WorkAtVA. Hit the share button, use that hashtag, and let's get this information out to as many people as possible. So with that, it's 12:03 on this 11th day of October 2022. And today is National Sausage Pizza Day. All right, National Sausage Pizza Day. So with that, I like a whole bunch of toppings on my pizza. So a question that I have for you guys today that I would like to hear is, what is your favorite kind of pizza? You can put your favorite pizza, if it's a specialty pizza, or what's your favorite pizza topping. Go ahead and put that in the comment section, and I'm looking forward to being able to read those once this broadcast is over. Again, I know I like to kind of put a football plug in there. LSU lost to Tennessee, so if there's a lot of Tennessee fans out there, I know I'm going to hear those comments in the comment section. But the New Orleans Saints did win. They beat Seattle, so I'm excited that the Saints finally got a win, their first win in a couple of weeks. So they're now 2-3, and so hopefully we can keep this winning streak going. So with that, today's broadcast is our Q&A session, question and answer session. If you've been tuning in with us for the past few weeks, maybe months, maybe a couple of years, you notice that every Tuesday, every second Tuesday of the month is a Q&A session. It's either myself that's doing it or one of my colleagues, either Tim Blakely or Kendra Wilson Hudson. They've been very, very good at doing these Q&A sessions, but today you have me. And so we have some questions that were submitted last week, and as always, we'll make sure that we take some live questions today if we have time. So with that, let's go ahead. So our first question comes from Don. Don, thank you for submitting your question. Don is saying, if you leave the VA and hired again at the same grade within a year, are you able to keep your steps in seniority? So just to kind of just summarize and see if I can give you a picture. So let's say Don was a GS9 with the VA and he left the VA, whether he took another job or whatever. He left the VA as a GS9 step 2, let's say step 2. And he got hired back as a GS9 within a year. Is he allowed to come back as a step 2 instead of starting back as a GS9 step 1? And again, one caveat I want to give with these questions and answers, we know that every situation is different. So the generic answer that I may give today to these questions, they may not fit special situations. Every situation is different. Every person's hired experience is different. But what I would tell Don is that, Don, yes, you may come in back as a GS9, but once you get hired, then you can negotiate with your human resources assistant or whatever human resources personnel that is helping you with that position. You can talk to them, show them your SF50 to show that you were GS9 step 2, and try to negotiate that. Now, I can't say that negotiation is going to work, but there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm being hired back as a GS9. My SF50 from my last job shows that I was a GS9 step 2. Can I come back on as a GS9 step 2? Or even if I qualify as a GS9 step 3, can I come back as that? So I would just say, Don, just negotiate. There's nothing that says you can't negotiate salary or GS levels or GS steps once you get hired. Again, that doesn't mean that negotiation is going to be successful, but there's nothing wrong with negotiating. If you feel like if you're qualified for a certain step within a grade because you've held that step at your last job, I would just say go ahead and negotiate it. So yeah, there's nothing wrong. I can't sit here and say that you'll automatically get it or that you'll automatically qualify to be in that same step that you left as. But I can say at least try to negotiate. Once you get that tentative offer, you can reach out to that human resources specialist that contacted you with your tentative offer and see if you can negotiate that last step that you left the VA as. So again, thank you, Don, for submitting that question. I hope that I was able to answer it. If not, you can leave a follow-up question in the comment section and we'll get to that. We'll get to your follow-up as soon as we can. So my next question comes from Kyla. Kyla says, I have my bachelor's degree in social work. Every job I have seen posted on the Indianapolis VA site all requires master's degrees. Does the VA offer positions for a bachelor's in social work? So again, just kind of reiterate, Kyla saying that she has a bachelor's degree in social work, but she's trying to get a job at the VA, but she sees that the VA, most of the jobs in Indianapolis, they require you to have a master's degree. Again, as I would say with anything else, is that every facility or every program office within VA can set their own parameters of who they want in that job position, in that job. And I would say for the most part, I was kind of just researching this question a little bit earlier. And I looked at a lot of social work positions that are open here at VA, a lot of vacancies on vacareers.gov. And Kyla, I will say that every position that I've seen requires that the incumbent or the person selected for that position have a master's degree from a social work that's fully from a program that's fully accredited by the Council on Social Work Education. So yes, Kyla, I haven't seen anything that says that it's required to have that says that you're only required to have a bachelor's degree. Every social worker vacancy that I've seen within VA today, and when I was researching your question for an answer, it says that you have to have a master's degree and you have to have a licensure. So again, I can't say that that's the case in every position, because as soon as I say yes, that's the case, you may go find a position on USA Jobs or VA Careers that says you only need a bachelor's degree. But I will say this, that every position that I looked up with VA that was a social worker position, they did require a master's degree in social work. So I would just say just keep applying. But even if you have a bachelor's in social work, there are a lot of other positions that you can come in, that you can apply for at VA. And I guess I'm not sure if you're working towards your master's degree in social work, but that doesn't mean you can't qualify for another position that's with VA. And if you're trying to work with VA, I would say do that. Find another position, kind of work in that position while you're working on your master's in social work. And once you have your license, or if you may have your license already, but once you have that requirement, then you can apply for some social work positions. So Kyla, thank you for submitting that question, and I hope I was able to answer that. And again, If you need any follow-up, just go ahead and leave your follow-up in the comment section, and we'll try to get to that as soon as possible. So my next question comes from Brett. Brett says, what if I have no college experience? I'm a veteran, but never went to college. What kind of jobs are available for someone like myself that never furthered my education? So this is actually a good question, because I understand that there are a lot of veterans and there are a lot of candidates that are not veterans out there that are seeking to work for the VA, but that may not have a college degree. And I will say this, again, every position is different, but there are most of your jobs at VA that are non-clinical or that doesn't require you to have direct patient care. A lot of your administrative positions, a lot of your support positions, they don't require you to have a college degree. Having college education is important, and it can help propel your application further. But if you have the amount of experience that hiring manager is looking for, they will gladly hire you even though you don't have a college degree. We understand that there are people in the workforce, or when people leave high school, they go straight to the military, or some people leave high school and go straight to the workforce, and they've built up a bunch of work experience, but they may not have the education behind it, i.e. a bachelor's degree, an associate's degree. But here, luckily, the good thing about working at VA is that if you have the experience that's required in that job announcement, that hiring manager will not penalize you because you do not have a college degree. So again, I would just tell you, Brett, look at all of the experience that you have. Look what you did in the military. If you have any type of work experience that's out in the civilian world, I would tell you, look at that experience, put that on your resume, and from there, go seek the positions within VA that fall under the experience that you have. Because again, if you're trying to get in on an entry-level position, or even if it's not an entry-level position, but you have a lot of work experience, you can still get into the VA without a college degree. So for all of those who are watching that you have the work experience, but you don't have the college degree behind your name, don't feel like you're any less qualified than someone that has a college degree. Because again, if you have a lot of experience and you can prove to the hiring manager that you're perfect for that position without the college degree, they'll hire you. One thing about being a hiring manager here at the VA and being a recruiter that, like myself, is that we're looking for the most highly qualified person for each position. So sometimes the most highly qualified person may be someone with a degree, and maybe it's someone without a degree. But we understand that work experience means a lot. So if you do have the work experience, but you may not have the education behind your name, don't feel like that makes you any less of a candidate than someone that may have a college degree. So Brett, thank you for submitting that question. I hope I was able to answer it. As I said with the other questions, if you need a follow-up, just put that in the comment section below, and we'll be sure to make sure that we follow up on anything that you have. We have another question that came in from Nicole. Nicole says, what typically goes on at an open house? So Nicole, thank you for that question. VA open houses can look differently. Sometimes they are just, I know that my office, sometimes we hold a quarterly open house just so we can talk to candidates and kind of help them through the application process. So that's one type of open house. You have a post-selection open house. So you may have a facility or program office that have selected a bunch of candidates for one position, and they may want to have an open house to bring the candidates in to the office, have them meet each other, have them meet the hiring manager face-to-face, have them meet some of the other VA employees that may work in that facility or that program office, and you're just kind of getting a tour around the facility and kind of just getting some firsthand information on the job that you're going to be doing that you were selected for. Some open houses can be masked as career fairs. I know that here in New Orleans on this Saturday, the New Orleans VA Hospital is having a hiring fair. That can kind of be masked as an open house, but some open houses are where facilities are willing to hire candidates on the spot if they come and they qualify for the positions that are open. So, Nicole, it just depends on which type of open house you're referring to, but they can all look different. Some of them could be just events that just offer information to candidates on how to be a better applicant. Some of the open houses can be an event that you go to because you're selected for position and your hiring manager just wants to kind of acclimate you to the office life and to your coworkers and to your your future area of work. And some open houses can be dubbed as virtual, not virtual, but career fairs. Sometimes you may go to a facility that's having an open house and they have open vacancies that they're trying to fill. And if you walk into that open house and you're a highly qualified candidate, you can get a position, you can get hired on the spot or selected on the spot. So yes, all those open houses look different. But if there is an open house in your area or you see that any VA office or facility, and when I say facility, I'm mostly talking about the medical center. If you see any VA medical centers or any program offices that are having an open house and you think you're interested in attending, I would say do it, because you never know what can be the outcome of attending an open house. So thank you, Nicole. I hope I was able to answer your question to you today. All right, so let's go. I'm going to start answering some live questions. Those questions that I was answering just now were submitted last week. So let's see what we have. I have a question from Mikhail, I think it is. I hope I pronounced it right. Mikhail says, how do I market myself to get maximum attention to get an interview? So, Mikhail, the best thing I would do, and I know I repeat this week after week, and I will continue saying it week after week because I think it's the best way to do it, is to tailor your resume. Make sure that your application that you submit for that position mirrors what's in the job vacancy. Again, I know a lot of us, and I was guilty of this back in the past, that we have this perfect resume that we put together, or we may have hired someone to help us with this resume, or we may have gotten some type of resume advice, and that's all good. But you have to understand that you can't have one resume and apply for 100 positions. Why? Because even if those 100 positions have the same job title, the requirements within those vacancies may be different. And you have to understand that. I know a lot of times, especially when I was younger, I would see 10 jobs with the same job title, and I would say, "Oh, I can do this. I've held this job title," not knowing that some of the requirements inside of those different announcements were things that I've not done, or even if I've done it, they wasn't particularly showcased in my resume. So the best thing I would tell you, Mikhail, is for every job that you want to apply for, read the job announcement, then read your resume, compare what's on your resume to what's in the job announcement. And if you see that it feels like they feel like they're in two separate worlds, I would say make sure that your resume contains the keywords and the key theme that's in the job announcement. Because if you don't, you're going to get looked over because the hiring manager is not going to feel that you're a perfect candidate for that position. But if your resume does closely mirror what's in the job announcement, that can help you get propelled to a hiring manager and into an interview. So again, Mikhail, thank you. I hope I was able to answer your question. Let's see. I'm just scrolling to see what questions I have. Let's see. Heidi says, do you have any updates on the HR Star trainee program? So yes, I do. I do have some updates on the HR Star trainee program. So the HR Star program is a human resources internship that we have that we're starting here at the VA. The goal of this HR Star internship is to eventually hire 1,000 trainees to be part of this internship for a year. And once you successfully complete your year in this internship, you can be placed in an HR position throughout VA. So the update that I have, Heidi, is that they have started hiring, or actually started selecting individuals for this internship, but they're not doing all 1,000 positions at one time. They're bringing people on 70 to 100 people at a time. So the first class has already been selected. Right now, for the second class, they're doing interviews for the second class to start. And again, everyone's not going to start at one time. Class 1 to start, then class 2 will start. Once they get class 2 placed and on board, then they'll start with class 3. So right now, the last update that I did get is that they are interviewing for class 2. Class 1 has already been onboarded or in the process of being onboarded. Class 2 is going there. They are being interviewed right now, and eventually those selections will go out. Once those selections have gone out and they're in the onboarding process, then they'll start recruiting for class 3. And I will say that there may be another announcement coming out for the trainee program. So if you have not, or if you missed the first announcement and was not able to apply for the HR Star program, don't fret, don't get all frustrated. There may be another announcement coming out soon. As soon as that announcement comes out, I'll make sure that our team posts it. I'll make sure that you guys get word that that new announcement is out. But yes, they did start the process of hiring the interns for our 1-year HR Star internship. But again, they're not hiring all 1,000 people at one time. They're doing classes of 70 to 100 people. So right now, class 1 is put in place. Now they're interviewing for class 2, and then they'll continue interviewing for that. All right. So let's see what else I have. Thank you for that question, Heidi. Nicole says, so Nicole must have put a follow-up. She says, I am going to an open house this week. Any advice? My advice is just dress for success. Make sure your resume is updated. All your contact information is updated, and just be able to clearly articulate what you want from the VA. Again, because you have your wants and you have your needs. You know what positions that you're interested in with the VA. And when you go to that open house and whenever you sit in front of that HR representative, I would just say, be ready to clearly articulate what you want from the VA. And that's the best advice that I can have. Just make sure that your resume is up to date. All your latest and greatest information is updated on that resume, and just dress for success. And I just want to tell you, good luck. I really hope that everything goes well for you at this open house. All right. Let's see. I think I have time for one more. Tammy says, should I send a resume or cover letter to a nurse recruiter, or should I officially apply first? I would say that you should do both. If you see a nursing position that you're eligible for, I would say apply for it, and then at the same time send your resume to a nurse recruiter. Nursing is one of those positions that can either be direct hire or they can go through a job announcement. So sending your resume or your CV to a nurse recruiter won't hurt, because they may be privy to positions that have not been announced yet or that may be open continuously. And again, I would just say communicate with that nurse recruiter. Tell them again what your wants and your needs are. Do you want to work at a particular facility? Do you want to work in a particular program office? What type of nursing position? Because we understand that there are different specialties under nursing. Make sure that you clearly articulate to that nurse recruiter what you want, and they'll be able to try to find that for you. Now, again, there are no guarantees, but they'll try their best to make sure that they find the best spot for you based on what you articulated to them. So again, that's all the time that I have for today. I know there are some questions out there that I may have not addressed yet, but we will get to those throughout today and throughout the week. I have a great team that answers those questions, and some of you know that I will go through the comment section, answer some of the questions myself. But again, keep submitting the questions, because we want to make sure that you guys are not left in the dark about anything. We want to make sure that we give you all the information to become the best candidate to get selected for a position here at VA. So again, thank you for watching. We appreciate the time that you give us each week. We understand that there's a lot of different things that you can be doing at noon on a Tuesday. So if you spend time with us each week just to get the latest and greatest VA information, we really appreciate that. So with that, again, I'm Mike Owens, and I hope that you all have a great week, and I'll see you on next Tuesday. Have a great day.